Agent 99 here, and welcome to TableTalk Friday, a D&D podcast. If you like their show, make sure you follow these boys on whichever podcast service you prefer, and check out their bonus content on patreon.com/TableTalkFriday. And now, enjoy the mystery. All right, boys, I hope you're ready for the next 10 minutes of your life to be sucked away from you. I had some crazy stuff happen over the past couple of days, and I just need to get it off my chest, okay? So,
go ahead and vent, Seth. We're here for you.
So I saw Panic at the Disco this weekend.
You did?
Yeah. I went to my sister, my mom, my mom's husband, and myself all went to Raleigh, and I saw Panic at the Disco, and it was freaking awesome. I've already seen them once before. And first of all, they were great. It was fun. It was cool. They put on an amazing show. That's nowhere near what I had to talk about. I was seeing a girl for a while.
A woman?
Yeah. For like a month, I was talking to someone, okay, and you know, not like seeing them, but like I was going out with them, and let's just say she was also going to be at this concert, and we're no longer in communication.
I see. So that's why you didn't invite us, your best friends, right? Is because you were supposed to be seeing this girl there?
No.
Oh.
No, I already knew when I was going to this concert, like, I just really don't want to run into this person because, like, I don't want to make it awkward. We are not seeing each other by my choice, so it was very much like, oh, I really don't want things to be awkward. I don't really want to run into this person. Well, flash forward to me being at the venue. And I'm in the venue hanging out with my sister. And I was like, man, I'm already like one beer deep at this concert. I'm like, man, I have got to go to the bathroom. I'm going to go to the bathroom. My sister is like, okay, I'll go with you. I kind of got to go too. So we walk up the stairs. She's like, hey, wait outside the bathroom because, I don't want to walk back by myself. I was like, okay, cool. So I go, I come back out, and I meet up with my sister. We're walking back in and going into our section. Guess who I run across and walk within inches of out of the 12 to 15,000 people here?
Surely it was your sister. Oh,
this
no, it
girl,
wasn't.
Eric. And so I literally hang out to the side for a second, and she walks past looking down at her phone, and I'm pretty sure she didn't see me. It's not where the story ends. Because I was like, we get through the openers. And first of all, the opener, let me tell you the name of this one opener who deserves more and more recognition. Jake Wesley Rogers. Have you ever heard of this man?
I have not.
Mm-hmm. Look up his music when you go home, because I personally thought he was better than Panic at the Disco. He was that good. He's got maybe like 5 or 6 million downloads on his most popular song, which for a music creator on a streaming platform is not that much. He's kind of small right now. And I just want him to get so much recognition. He was awesome, and he gave out his number to everybody in the crowd, and he texted me back about D&D. I texted him and I said, hey, my sister and I have agreed that you would be a great guy to play D&D with, and he texted me back and is like, I have no clue what D&D is, or like, I've never played D&D, but I agree that I would be great to play with.
I would agree too, knowing nothing about you. If you want to come on this show and play D&D with us, we'll make it happen.
Let me put it into perspective for you. He was like the 2022 Billy Joel, or like 2022 like Elton John, and it wasn't even like in that style. It was more poppy. It was more like, modern. But, man, he was so good. I've had one of his songs stuck in my head since the concert. Okay, so openers happen, right? The second opener came on. I don't even remember her name. But she was cool. After that, I am a little drunk. And, like, I was like, I look at my sister and I go, I want a pretzel. If I could have anything in the world right now, it would be one of those nice, hot, salty pretzels. And I was like, I'm going to go get one. And she was like, do you want anybody to go with you? I was like, no. Why would I want anybody to accompany me? So I get up, walk up to the top. First thing I come across on when I get out is, they have more alcohol right there. So I bought some more. And I buy a pretzel. I'm walking with these two things in my hand, and I'm like, I'm just gonna roam around. We still got like 15 minutes before Brendan Urie's on stage, so I'm just gonna go walk around. So I take a lap around the place, and as I'm walking, there's this line of like 300, not 300, probably more like 150 women out front of the women's restroom, and I'm like, that's a lot of people blocking my route. So I'm walking through, and I'm like, if I'm gonna keep up with my lap and get around this whole place, I'm gonna have to cut through this line of women. So I do, and as I'm walking, I look to my left, maybe 3 inches from my chest, is the girl that I don't want to run into.
Are you kidding me? That's who you ran into in that whole line?
Out of this whole line of 150 people, without realizing it, I cut in front of the one person I didn't want to see.
Perfect. That's amazing. I'm sure that's what you wanted to happen.
Now, I sped up my stride immediately in hopes that I would not be recognized, and to this moment, I have no clue if I was or not.
Seth, I hate to break it to you, but I feel like not only did she see you then, she also saw you the first time
before I saw her.
And looked at her phone to not appear like she was looking at you.
Yeah. I was thinking the same thing, Zach. And it irks me to this moment that I don't know if it was awkward or not.
I think the fact that you're talking about it right now in front of an audience of insert a number of people here makes it kind of awkward.
Yeah, you're right.
So, the moral of the story, how was that pretzel?
That was a banger pretzel.
Was it?
Dude? It was one of those like really nice warm ones. I bought it from the bar. Like, I didn't even go to a different place for this pretzel. I bought it from the bar. They had a pretzel machine and beer.
A pretzel machine?
Which I bought it, one of those things that the pretzels all sit in. To
Oh,
stay
like the
warm.
rotisserie pretzel.
Yeah,
I love those things.
like one of those
They're great.
things that's all standing up and whatnot. It was cool. The show was great. Loved the concert. I have another girl story.
Another girl story?
Seth.
You're not even going to let me interrupt with this interjection that I was about to interrupt?
Please interject on the first story so I can get on to the second one that happened today.
Yeah, okay. Well, I just want to announce to everyone that that I've never really been a pretzel guy.
What?
But now that you bring up soft warm pretzels, lately I've been turning over a new leaf, and let me tell you why. So maybe I should start this with a question. What do you typically dip your pretzels in?
Oh, that's a hard question, though, because everything goes good on pretzels. I like beer cheese. Specifically, beer cheese is really good. Nacho cheese. You do cinnamon, mustard. Like, anything goes good on a pretzel.
I was going to say mustard is the controversial one because I'm a low-calorie fiend. But you said beer cheese, and I remembered that day we were hanging out with the beer cheese pretzels, and probably one of the greatest days of my life. We all, we had the frozen, they were frozen pretzels, right?
Yeah, they were just frozen.
Had frozen pretzels from the store and a beer cheese on the side that we all just sat around and ate like 3 pretzels each with. They were so good.
Now I feel like I would be into that, but at the same time, beer cheese is not the answer I was looking for. Honey mustard on pretzels?
People do that?
Yeah, and it's actually a transcendent experience. I feel like
I
you
could
both
see it.
Yeah. So let me preface this.
I didn't know it was allowed.
No, I thought it was a rule.
No, but I got some East Coast wings the other day, and that's the default sauce they give you is their special bourbon honey mustard. And I said, "Ooh, by golly, this is so delicious." And then on a whim, my girlfriend, Zach's girlfriend, Eric, and I might have broke open the piggy bank and cracked into the DoorDash fund, and we ordered Sonic, and they have like these long pretzel twist things, and that in Sonic honey mustard at a certain time of night might just be the best thing I've had. And that's not an exaggeration. You can quote me. I am now a pretzels and honey mustard kind of guy.
I'm blown away. I absolutely did not think you could do that. That's never crossed my mind as a condiment you could put on a pretzel. I've even seen people do like the icings. You ever seen like icings? You get like a Cinnabon or something like that. That's awesome. That's delicious. There's a good variety of options there. Never thought of honey mustard as one.
Yeah, it's kind of like the ketchup thing. Some people would do like ketchup and stuff with pretty much anything like a pretzel. And I'd have to say I don't really want ketchup with my pretzel. I'd rather eat the pretzel plain, but honey mustard does sound enticing.
Do people eat ketchup with pretzels?
Oh, people eat ketchup with literally everything. I bet there's
true.
some people who put ketchup on their pizza crust.
On their pizza crust?
Yeah.
But like the tomatoes
I
right
know.
next to
I'm not
it.
one of these people, Zach. I'm not agreeing with those people. They're monsters.
Well,
but people do it.
You know, I also have a problem with people. You know, no offense to anyone out there in the audience who does this.
Make some enemies,
Yeah,
Zach.
but pizza with hot sauce, like putting hot sauce on top of the pizza, I feel like you're just adding too many flavors. Now, like a spicy pizza sauce, I could get behind, but like it's the hot sauce drizzle over the top, like it's a Taco Bell something or other that gets
that's
me
good.
a little confused.
Okay, we have a lot to talk about today, and what I would like to do is I already prefaced that I would have a second story, and it's probably going to take 5 more minutes, so I need to get through that real quick before we get on to our hour-long topic.
Yeah, please get into that.
I'll give you the
story.
wheel, Seth.
So, today, I was about 3 hours away from here working a college event for my work, and typically we're outside for these, which we were today. It was quite warm in the sun, and so my buddy Dylan Eric and I, who will often go to these events together, set up the course. It was hot outside. It was sweaty. I had a tank top on. He was shirtless.
Of course.
So we're at a college, which are all people that are like 22, 23-ish range for that. And I was like, oh, this is nice. I like being in a place where a lot of like people around my age could be, given that I'm 24. So I was very excited being like, oh, this is awesome that we're here. Because we normally do a lot of events with kids, so being at a college was nice. All that to say, as we were setting up the course, Dylan's hanging around shirtless, and a girl approaches him and is like, "Are you single?"
She just said that?
Yeah, she goes up to him and says, "Are you single?" And I'm not gonna lie, I got jealous. Where I was like,
What am I?
Because Dylan is not single and I am.
Did you say that?
No, I was busy.
At that moment, you should have taken your shirt off, walked over, and said, I am. And see how it goes.
Yeah, interrupt the conversation you were having with that other person over there.
So, this girl randomly walks up to Dylan and goes, "Are you single?" And I was like, motherfucker, I'm single.
Well, was she cute?
Yes.
Oh, well. Yikes.
And so I was stewing in it for a few minutes, and I was like, I'll show him, whenever we get done with this shift and we're tearing down the course, I'll take my shirt off. Him and I both have similar builds. Like we're pretty much the same in like physique. And so we do the whole day. I am like busy listening to Critical Role to catch up. I'm on episode 31, by the way. So I'm busy listening to Critical Role to like catch up. And so I'm sitting there all day just like, okay, I gotta, get through this. We get to the end of the day and I'm like, take off the tank top, throw it to the side. And I'm like, all right, let's tear down this course. So we're tearing down the course. I'm the most comfortable I am with carrying this heavy equipment is over my head, because it's like I'm using both my shoulders. A lot of time, you can hold it over one shoulder, but it's a little uncomfortable. You can lift it with your back, but then doing that so much is like, I'm tired. So I like to hold it over my head because I like to use my shoulders. So I'm doing that, and let me tell you, I look good when I'm doing that. So
It was a tactical move
Exactly.
in the arms race against Dylan Eric.
Exactly, and the lighting out there was pretty nice, and so I was like, if I do this, surely, if one person can hit on someone today, at least I can get hit on today too. Please, come on. So, I'm thinking this actively. I'm like, come on, I want to get hit on, and so I'm carrying the stuff back in, sorting out the truck. Eventually, I forget my mission, and I'm like, I just want to get out of here. I want to go home. And so I'm sorting things out in the truck, and I do catch a glimpse of a female walking towards me. And I was like, did it work? At the moment, I stopped thinking about it. Did it work? She walks up. I step out of the truck. I'm like, hey, what's up? and she says, "You guys are both very attractive." And I was like, "Dang it, Dylan. You had to take it from me, didn't you? Because this was my moment." And she said those words, and I felt a little bit of defeat in my soul, and I said, "Well, I appreciate it."
You won't let her settle? You won't let her settle for half of two attractive men?
No, I want to be I want my own moment. You know what I mean? I'm sorry I just hit your pen on the desk.
I'll forgive you.
Yeah, that was a little violent
I
for this podcast.
I was feeling violent.
So I want to sit here and say, Seth, that it was a fluke. Something kind of went wrong in the Matrix there. But how does it feel to be second best?
I know. He got 2 and I got 1.
Do you think you needed to take your shirt off earlier? Do you think that was the trick?
I think I need to do it now. Did I need to do it earlier? I don't know. Would the first person have come up and complimented both of us if we both had our shirts off?
See, that's the real question, because if you both had your shirts off, would she have picked the better shirtless man to compliment? Or would she have complimented both of you at the same time?
While we have similar physiques, we do have very different facial features. He does not have a beard. I do.
Some people aren't into beards.
He has like one of those like young guy, because he's a couple years younger than me. So he has one of those like cool like young guy like pedo stashes almost, like that kind of grows a little bit, but just around the top lip area, not around the rest of the face. Oh, sorry, I had to burp a little bit there. But I have like the full beard. And so I was like, okay, maybe not. Maybe it wouldn't have happened otherwise. At the time, also, when the second girl complimented us both, I had a backwards pink cap on. The first time, I had the headband I'm wearing right now on. All of these circumstances might have come up. I'm just saying, to answer your question, it feels awful. And I feel defeated and unbalanced from the rest of my community members.
There, homie. I think you'll recover.
Welcome to Table Talk Friday. My name is Seth Pittman, and we have a banger episode coming up for you today, but we will not get to it until I first talk about patreon.com/Table Friday, where you can get bonus content and episodes a week early. So check out patreon.com/Table Friday. Pick the pricing level that tickles your fancy, and let's get on to today's episode that is all about the expert classes from the 1D&D Unearthed Arcana playtest that released this week. I'm joined by my two buds, Andrew Romano and Zachary Carvon. How are you guys doing today?
I'm doing pretty fantastic. I'm not going to get into it. It's definitely going to be some post-show content. I saw The Face of God a few days ago.
Oh, we can talk about that later. Yeah, for sure.
But saw The Face of God. Zach, on that, I'll pass it to you.
I'm just shocked at what you could possibly be talking about if it's not this Unearthed Arcana. I'll say I'm really excited. I think we've got a lot of good thoughts for this one, and as opposed to the previous UA that we just had, that left me feeling a little lukewarm about a lot of the things. I feel like I'm mostly entirely on board with one or two things. So even though I am always the negative one of the group, I think is my my caveat that I've carved out for myself.
You do say that behind your back all the time.
Every day.
Yeah. What a negative Nancy Zach is.
I always text Drew and think, oh, I just listened to every episode again, and Zach sucks.
He still sucks, man.
No, I'm contrarian. Well, you two are so excited about whatever the new thing is, I've always got to piss all over it. But sorry to disappoint any of the Zach fans out there, but I will be pissing less today.
Awesome.
Okay, well, that's good. That's good.
Well, this week we got a big news drop of the Unearthed Arcana expert classes, which includes the Ranger, the Rogue, and the Bard. The expert classes group, which they're all grouped up in class groups now, which is pretty cool, is the people who kind of have a set line of expertise, something that they specialize in. All of these classes have access to the expertise feature, which doubles your proficiency for certain skills that you're using on your character sheet. And that is why they're part of the expert classes group.
Yeah, and so just immediately to discuss, there are things called class groups now. So in addition to the experts, which includes not only the bard, ranger, and rogue, but also the artificer, there is also the mage group, including sorcerers, warlocks, and wizards, the priest group, which has a controversial pick of cleric, druid, and paladin, which is interesting to me, and then warlock, warriors, which includes the barbarian, fighter, and the monk, which also a little... My only thought here, I feel like the word priest, and I understand the reason for the grouping, right? Because priests are spellcasters, and warriors are not. So, a priest would make more sense for a paladin who does cast spells. Warrior makes more sense for a monk who doesn't. But those words don't make sense to me. I feel like a monk is definitely more of a priest. A paladin is definitely more of a warrior.
So the way I see it is I am completely 180 from you, because monks to me are anime characters who are literally only meant for hitting and fighting. So that makes them warriors to me. But I mean, I do get, yes, a priest when you think of a monk in our world, you think of someone, very stoic, sitting on top of a mountain meditating. Monks in D&D are nothing like that.
Yeah, I feel like the monk class name is kind of the problem that I've got.
Yeah, no, I agree, because monks typically in fantasy settings mean martial artists. Or right.
Just call it the martial artist.
Just call it the martial artist or something like that. But yeah, monks are typically martial artists who have sometimes special divine abilities, sometimes special things that they've trained in, but all of it goes back to martial arts. While also the paladin, what makes sense to me priest-wise for them is every single paladin has healing capability with lay on hands, and they can cure disease. They are all in somewhat dedicated to a divine being, and a priest doesn't necessarily, I say in quotes, mean that it has to be we are dedicated priests to to this specific god, and we serve them, we do everything divine. They're all Lathander, Helm, Torm. It's just a person who is in devotion to a deity, or a way of a way of life, or a
follower of some
worship,
kind.
a form of worship, I'll say. So, all paladins get power from a god of some sort, or a divine being. So it makes sense to me that they would be in the quote unquote priest class, even though you can flavor them very warrior style, which I think every paladin you've played has been a warrior.
Yeah, definitely. But so there's the rub there, though, because I feel like you could be a more priestly paladin or a more warrior paladin, an Oath of Redemption paladin is definitely more sagely than an Oath of Conquest, right? But at the same time, monks, I feel all generally have some twinge of oneness and zenness, and it comes from Buddhism or Zen Buddhism, that sort of philosophy of spiritualism, even if it's not in devotion to a god, right? So agree to disagree. Anyway, that's not the thing that I'm angry about these class groups. That's just an
wait. I want to get Drew's thoughts on the priest and warrior thing first.
Oh, please.
Yeah, so I want to jump right into the wording a little bit here, because we talked about what a monk is actually called, kind of where they go. Realistically, I can see a monk falling into any one of three different categories, to be perfectly honest. I can not see them in the mage, because they don't cast spells for the most part, obviously, but I can see them as a warrior because they're martial artists. I could see them as an expert because they are single-handedly the best unarmed fighter, period, right? That's their expertise. They are really good at fighting with their hands, with their monk weapons, and their monkish abilities, right? And then, of course, the priest, which I have a problem with the word priest, because I feel like that doesn't even include druids for the most part, because druids aren't really priests. I think what they're going for is some sort of holy warrior, some sort of holy being, right? But even then, so it still doesn't really bring the druid in unless you flavor them a certain way. Overall, I think these are just going to be reworked. I think they may even swap some of these into different groups, because I feel like people are going to be kind of ticked off that some of maybe their favorite subclass or class is grouped up into these. And if not, I feel like we're probably going to see a lot of the subclasses that come out end up dipping into these other groups, because to Zach's point, there are different types of subclasses that dip into the different one. Like you said, the redemption paladin, right? They're going to be a little more warrior vibe, right? Can't think of an exact example. Maybe a I don't know, maybe a very damage-based rogue could be a type of warrior. Maybe a arcane trickster could be somehow dipping into the mage class. I think it'll all get reworked a little bit, and we're going to have to wait to see what the new groups actually entail to get more flavor from it.
Right, and in general, we're not seeing a lot of restrictions based on your group. With feats, there are a couple. I believe the fighting style feats are specific to the warrior group, and then there's the epic boons that are specific to different kinds of groups as well. But otherwise, it's not like a super key mechanic, so not super important to harp on it too much. But the thing that I'm pissed about these class groups that just sends a twinge of nervousness down my spine is the Artificer, which they do specify that the Artificer is an expert, but they're not featured here. So we're not getting any revamped version of the Artificer here. It seems like the future UAs are probably going to go on to the other groups. We're not going to have an expert classes too, I don't assume. So we're probably going to see that the Artificer is going to be relegated to some other book later down the line in 1D&D and will not be included in the player's handbook, which really just... I love the Artificer so much, but we've had such a short time with them in official capacity. They've been UA for so long, and I don't know if I can do it again.
Let me pitch something to you. What if we're getting an Artificer Unearthed Arcana, only Artificer?
That could be.
I get that they didn't include it in the list, and that worries me as well, because I love the Artificer, and I just want more kinds of Artificers that I can play around with. Like, I would love to have almost like the reckless casting wizard. I would love to have a reckless Artificer who literally just throws things together and is like, concoction, go! And just see what it does. Stuff like that excites me. I love it. The inventor, making that a class is awesome. So what I hope they do, this is what I am just holding blind hope out for, because we didn't, like you said, there's nothing in there saying anything Artificer-wise, except for they will be in the extra classes. The fact that they said that made me think, okay, maybe they're just waiting to delegate this now because it's not in this UA, since the expert one is releasing and the Artificer's not ready yet.
It's possible, but also what's specified here, what's ahead in the 1D&D playtests, revised versions of every class from the 2014 Player's Handbook. There is no such promise for the Artificer. And additionally, they specify there's going to be 48 subclasses, including the subclasses in this article. If you do the math there, that's, if we say 12 classes total, that's 4 subclasses for each class. If the Artificer's included, that's 13. Only 3 for each class.
Yeah, that makes me a little nervous too then.
Yeah.
Because I love the Artificer so much.
Yeah, I'm going to say it now. Rest in peace, Oswin. You'll be the first and only Artificer at our table for years to come.
No, don't say that. He's been such a great resource to have at the table, though.
And honestly, if 1D&D comes out without the Artificer, I think we've sort of played with it enough to the point where I'd be willing to homebrew it if someone wanted to play an Artificer.
Well, we could just
from the 5e rules. They're more or less compatible, as we're seeing here. You just sort of got to mix and match to make sure that it agrees with the new rule set.
Maybe it's a stupid idea as far as grouping, but I can actually see the Artificer in the priest group as well. They have healing spells.
No,
they can buff. They're building construct life. Right? They're half casters, which paladins are.
In my mind,
they could fit.
I feel like they're more of a mage, if not an expert, but expert fits them most for me.
They are 100% experts. I couldn't see them in any other class. That's what I wanted to end off this section with, is the fact that I just think the names for the class groups are not up to par. I mean, I think they fit perfectly for another system that's in place, but I almost feel like, hey, you're already giving us the grouping of the spell lists and everything. Just name the groups that can cast those as freaking primal, divine, and arcane, and then the people who don't have like just innate spells. I mean, obviously they'll have subclasses, and you can say, hey, this makes this character into like an arcane character instead of another one, but then just call them like martial characters. So just have those three, and then like a martial. Then you have your martial character to the side, so that way you've got everything set up. And then depending on what subclass you go, can change which class group you're in.
Right, and there do seem to be some sort of arbitrary rules that we might see where limiting to a specific group might sort of exclude your image for your character in some ways, because I think in general the design philosophy for 1D&D is, well, let's give you more customizability. Let's give the player more freedom to do whatever they want. But when you say, okay, well, yes, that, but it's you can only take a fighting style feat if you're in the warrior group. A paladin, under no circumstances, should be able to get great weapon fighting outside of their class feature. That seems odd. But we might, in the paladin specifically, they might say yes, and you can also take these feats.
Right.
So,
and that's something I think we should just add to the survey, or these thoughts, because I mean, my literal thought is, yeah, I like the idea. Not good enough though.
I like the direction they're taking, and I'm curious to hear what you guys think, because all we've been hearing for a long time now, I think since Tasha's, maybe even before that, is bringing more players in, making it easier. Anyone can do anything, right? You could put your ASIs anywhere you want. You could do, the +2, +1 anywhere. You don't have to be a certain sub-race. You could be any race you want. It doesn't matter. You could use any type of feat. Backgrounds, you can have a feat right in the beginning. It could be any of them. Your background, you could choose which proficiencies you get, right? You can nitpick the languages and the tool proficiency, all that. Yet, now, they're kind of putting us in these groups, which just feels kind of backward intuitive in some way. I understand the restructuring of the game, because it's technically the new edition, right? It's 1D&D. I understand it's still 5e. So I get the restructure, but it does feel a little backward intuitive to see that they're kind of, after giving us all this freedom, saying, oh yeah, but you have to stay in this circle.
So we'll see. And all of this is subject to change, really.
It seems like they're changing a lot from the first one, so based on what everybody says for this one, I feel like they're going to change a lot of that too.
Yeah, and we'll probably see them go back and forth on some of these calls too, with later UA. Just like I know we called it out with the first one, we didn't like the variation on their crit rules. They've rolled it back, so now it's just like the Player's Handbook from 2014, with the added bonus that when you roll a 1 on the D20 now, rather than a 20, you get inspiration, which I'm actually a big fan of that rule.
I'm a huge fan of that, because it makes it so when people like Patrick roll ones like 4 times per game, hey, next time you roll one, you have the option to change it because it was that tough on you. Like, that makes me want to give them a drawback whenever, like, hey, a bad thing happens when you roll a 1 almost every time now, but you get this little bonus on top of it, like your heroic inspiration, because now you can kind of come back, like next time you're not also going to do horrible.
Yeah, and I kind of like that as a player too, because also as a DM, I don't like the idea of a critical fail severely hampering your character, because the fact that you missed failed on the thing you were attempting to do already sucks. And then to say, oh, and also your weapon's broken, figure it out, guy. Like, yeesh. When we're fighting Asmodeus, that's not going to fly. If my weapon's broken, we're dead. We're all dead.
Yeah, I mean, if nothing else, it's at least a saving grace. When you're in those kinds of boss fights and you really can't afford to be rolling nat ones and hurting your teammates and, accidentally wasting your action, that little inspiration does help. It gives you a little boost.
I have something to say on that really quick too. I was listening to an episode of Critical Role today. Now this isn't any spoilers or nothing, but Talison's character rolled a natural 1 and Matt just had it miss, and so he was like, yeah, you miss, nothing like horrible, nothing bad happens, and then he missed it, goes on to like 2 or 3 turns later, as it's the enemy's turns, the enemy had a firearm, like a really big firearm they were firing off, and they rolled a 1, and Matt said they rolled a 1, and Taliesin goes, oh, does anything like bad happen to the weapon? He goes, do you want something bad to happen to your hammer? And it was such a funny response, and because he was only calling it out because in the first campaign he was a gunslinger and bad things happened to your gun. But Matt literally, like, it sounded like he stared like the hand of God down on him. Or so, like, he smited him because he was like, "Do you want something bad to happen to your hammer?"
We can do that.
Yeah,
the streak goes both ways.
Exactly. It was one of those moments.
But anyway, if you get inspiration on a nat one, then that's fine.
Yeah.
Like, okay, fine, something bad happened to my hammer, but I also have inspiration, and that feels pretty good. And if we're going with this new version of inspiration as well, where you lose it on a long rest, plenty of races and different features allow you to get it, then that's fine for me. I feel like that is a fine compromise. I'd almost be fine, though, with just leaving inspiration as it is and just adding it on the nat 1. I really like that one thing in and of itself very much. I'm still sort of lukewarm on, all right, humans get it every long rest and that sort of thing.
That's how I feel, too.
Yeah, I agree. I think they're definitely trying to push the inspiration, or the heroic inspiration it's called now, a lot, which I kind of dig because I sort of 180'd on it. I was sort of against the extra inspiration. We use the homebrew Cardic inspiration, which I'm a big fan of, and I like the idea that we still use that in contrast with this as of right now. But something we haven't mentioned yet about the heroic inspiration that's my favorite part is that if you get inspiration and then get it again and you haven't used it, you can share it with your teammates.
Yeah.
Which is my favorite bit of that. I'm all about the support options, all about taking care of my team. So if I haven't used that, instead of just wasting it, I could just give it on to Zach and he could do something cool with it.
Yeah, and so I do appreciate that element of it, especially since inspiration is now so codified into like so many of these features. So definitely a big fan of that. Because if I'm the DM, obviously, I feel like that sort of goes unspoken. I'm the DM. I know you have inspiration and you haven't used it. I'll give it to Pat instead.
Yeah, the one thing I would like to see though is if the humans like still keep it. I don't want the human to like, hey, we're doing 5 days of travel and be like, okay, well then everybody has inspiration. You know what I mean? Because we went for 5 days. I would like for like maybe the humans goes down and refreshes. Like they need to specify on that. Like, hey, if this feature like refreshes over time, like it doesn't stack, so that okay, well, you guys have a few months off, like we go into the next arc, and it's like, yep, everybody just has inspiration until they use it.
Yeah, that's probably the reason for the long rest stipulation, because the human loses it when they long rest, and then they get it back, so they can't stack it. Like
right.
that.
That's what I'm hoping is the case, but. Yeah, I would hate for it to be like, yep, you guys do 3 days of travel. Okay, 3 of us have inspiration now. Wait, nothing happened. Like, all I did was specify. Nothing's happened yet.
I do really want to play test it because I feel like the humans at this point are just not a race you want to play anymore, because you have options now of getting feats, which is kind of the primary reason, or you don't get the the +1 to everything all the time anymore, because you can get anything you want. You can get a +2 here, +1 there on just about anything, regardless of what your sub race is. So it's kind of cool to see them have a little something that gives them an edge, because frankly, I'd rather be a plasmoid or a GIF or a bugbear or anything else just that's cooler, that has more flavor, But
yeah, I feel that as well, because the reason everybody was playing Variant Human was to get feats. Now you just get a feat at the beginning, which I want to say I was a little bit salty that Sean didn't let us pick feats for our characters, because I was like, oh, we've been using this and it's been so much fun being able to do these feats at level 1, because it gives you so much more options for customization. And I'm a big fan of being able to mess with your characters that way. So I was a little bit salty when we were like, hey, do we get feats for this upcoming like little short or arc that we're gonna do? And he was like, no feats. And I was like, dang it, why?
I stand with Sean. I feel like rules as written is how we've always played, and it's still a valid way to play. Even though we're all very excited about the new options.
I agree. I understand. I wasn't like actually mad. I was like, fine.
Yeah.
Yeah, so Zach's a traitor and his opinion doesn't matter. I was also very salty about not getting a feat because I really wanted one. I rolled so poor on my stats. I had to go back to Sean twice and say, Sean, is there anything we could do about this? Because they were so bad. He let me reroll my negative, and I got a negative again. So I had to... He let me reroll. I finally got a 15, which was my highest, period. Right?
Yeesh.
And it came down to the nitty-gritty where I could have this cool feat that I found that no one has ever used at our table before, so I could be different and stand out and be the quirky girl, or I could get, an 18 in my stat, which I had to do because I was a spellcaster.
My paladin I rolled up for your thing coming up.
Yeah?
I have 2 18s that I rolled because I started off with horrible stats, and Drew was like, "Hey, did you like re-roll the ones on those negatives?" And I was like, "No," because I got a negative. My first thing was a 7, and I was like, "Okay, well, great." And he was like, "Yeah, you can do that. So if you want to like change those ones out, like that's okay." And I was like, "Okay, I've already kind of stuck to like I already had like 3 negatives and an 18 and like 2 neutral ones," and I was like, I can deal with this. I was like, I can make a character off of this. It's fine. And then he said that, and I was like, okay, we'll see what I get. First thing I did was roll another 18 and went, oh.
Yeesh.
Well, now I have 2, and I haven't even leveled him up yet.
Yeah.
And so I was like, oh, well, we'll get there whenever it's actually time for me to make a character. Okay, we should probably delve into the classes now.
Yeah, we've been talking for a while. So, Bard, Ranger, and the other one, Thief, Rogue. We'll start with Bard. In general, I'll say there aren't like a ton of huge changes, but the thing that I hate the most, I'll start with. I guess maybe I will be doing a lot of pissing this episode. So prepared spells per level, as opposed to previous versions in 5th edition of the spell list, where you have your spell slots based on every level, and it's all presented in a table at the start of the class, essentially. Now you don't have spell slots anymore. You have prepared spells per level, and so the table describes how many spells of each level you have, rather than how many spell slots you have to cast. And then they specify below that your spell slots equal the amount of spells that you have prepared per level. So it's a different way of thinking about it. And now you don't prepare spells based on your stats at all, which I kind of like, unifying that element of it a little bit. But in general, I think that it's sort of limiting. So the idea here, and maybe this is only true for the Bard, because they were already more limited in the number of spells they could cast, and the Ranger as well. And when we see the mages and the priests, maybe it'll all make more sense. But with this version, I must have 4 first level spells for my entire adventuring career. If I want more first level spells, I don't believe I can take them, or I'd have to sacrifice a higher level spell to do that. And I can't swap out my first level spells for higher level spells either as I level up. So at 20th level, I will have 4 first level spells, 3 second, 3 third, 3 fourth, etc.
But what makes that okay to me is the fact that they prepare their spells by day now, correct?
Yes. So from my understanding, all of them do now.
Yeah, so they can have any spell on the Bard list they want. Just 4 of them have to be first level, which means they can't have 5 9th level spells ready to go every day.
Which, I mean, that's fair, but at the same time, there comes a point where some first level spells, not all, sometimes you want to have Detect Magic in your pocket at all times. You want Identify, you want Cure Wounds, which the Bards don't get now, but you get my point. You want those staple spells to still have, but with even in my current character that I'm playing, I have 3 first level spells that I actually want to prepare, and I use those other slots for. There are so many good second level spells that I can take. There are so many good third level spells. I like that you can, pluck it from here. If no, I don't think that I'm going to need to be casting Jump anytime soon. I'm going to take that and put it into Haste instead. When you're at higher level, I feel like that's fair and that's a good thing. So it's a little confusing that we're limiting it in that way so arbitrarily. Otherwise, I don't have like a huge problem with it. Again, it mostly just seems like a new coat of paint with one arbitrary restriction that I don't understand.
Yeah.
I have a pretty solid stance on this. I think it was a good idea, and I think they have the right intention with this for sure. At the simplest design, this is meant to assist players who maybe are newer to casters, or honestly just to simplify the fact that as far as spell preparation goes, for wizards, example, if you're a 10th level wizard and you have a maximum intelligence, so a 20 intelligence, you'd be able to prepare 15 spells. And there's an equation for that, right? It's your level in that class plus your modifier in your spellcasting ability, which is fine. You do have to kind of look for that in the player handbook. So I like the idea that you can just really quick look at your spell slots and go, oh, that's what I need to prepare. Very easy. It's on the chart right on the front page where you need it to go. The problem is, like you were saying, Zach, it's too restrictive, right? As Pyth, a wizard now, a 10th level, 11th level wizard-ish, probably, I have 1 second level spell prepared and 2 first level spells prepared on a daily basis. I have 4 or 5 5th levels, and will I be able to cast all of them? No. But
you want to have the options.
And especially at higher levels. We are going back into hell right now in our campaign, where we're going to be fighting devils and demons and high-powered everything against us, right? Whether or not I have Aid or Enlarge or Tasha's Hideous Laughter is not going to matter. I need to have the options at 4th, 5th, 6th, and 7th level to go for if something happens. If 4th level is the max that I can prepare per day, and I only get 1 of them, at some point you do only have 1 4th level spell. Do I pick Dimension Door that gets me out of a bind really quick? Or do I pick Banishment that gets me out of a bind really quick? Or do I pick Blight that just does a whole bunch of... There's too many options not to pick multiple of them, even if you can't pick them. To the point of 4 or 5 9th level spells prepared per day. No one's going to do that, but I like having the option to do it.
So you guys have officially changed my mind, because now the way I've been thinking about it this whole time is, why not just lift the restriction of you have to have this many of these levels and just instead say, like, this is the number you can prepare per day. Like, hey, 4 plus 3 plus 3 plus 2 plus all the rest of the stuff. This is how many you can prepare, and it can just be any of the spells on the list.
Right, and so that's how it was.
That would simplify it.
That's how it was in the 2014 Player's Handbook.
Well,
for bards.
wasn't it before?
So they would have the list of spell slots in the table, and then next to that they had a number of spells.
Well, right, for certain classes, but instead, like instead of it being like with your modifier, right? Mm-hmm. Is this so? The bard originally was just spells known as well, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Okay.
So they'd have a number of spells that they know, and in general, the bard now can know more spells than they could before. So that's a bonus. We're not really losing anything here on the bard. I'm just curious how this applies to other classes.
So yeah, why don't they could just literally reword it as like prepared spells, blah blah blah, whatever they called it, and just say as many spells as maximum spell slots you have, and just put it at that. Like, that's easy enough. Yeah. And then there's I do like the idea of reworking the original thing with the mages, the like adding their blah 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 plus their modifier plus everything, because that was always like, oh, I got to go through another equation. Like, okay, what was the equation? Let me find it.
And that's every time you level up.
That's a lot for new players to wrap their heads around. So I do like the idea that they all know a specific amount like that, or can prepare a specific amount like that. But yeah, like you were saying, Drew, it's one step too far.
Mm-hmm. And they have the right intention here. And I actually mentioned this to Zach in the car. I actually like this idea as a variant option for choosing spells. Maybe even for new players. Just say, hey, you pick a couple of these, easy peasy, right?
Right, and they even do that for us with the list of prepared bard spells. They say at first level, you can take these spells. Second level, you take these spells. Honestly, I feel like it's a little demeaning as a veteran player, but I understand if you're new.
It's a quick build. They always had the quick build options.
Yeah. So providing those baby's first bard options are fine to me. But it does take up a lot of real estate. I feel like it. Rather than wasting all this space on the page for this list of prepared spells, I'd kind of just like to have back the number of spells added to the table, which takes up no extra space.
Right? Why not give us the player's handbook as is, like with all the stuff we need to play the game, and then in the starter kit provide like 4 classes with the quick builds.
Yeah,
be like, hey, here's your quick build bard, and here's their character sheet. Do something like that, so like you said, it doesn't take up any real estate. We don't know if they're going to do that in the player's handbook or not. This was just like, hey, here's an example. So in this context, I don't really see it as like a problem or demeaning.
Talking more about the bard, if we're okay to move on just a little
Yeah.
bit. So the way that they are able to prepare their spells is slightly different. So we originally had concerns with the last UA with the arcane spell list being something that bards pull from, which seems odd because, well, bards also have healing, and I don't see cure wounds on the arcane spell list. So what they've done is, as a bard, you can prepare any spell from the arcane spell list, and it must be from one of the following schools of magic: divination, enchantment, illusion, and transmutation. So when you choose new spells for a bard, yes, you're choosing from the arcane spell list, but you're choosing from an exceptionally pared down version of the arcane spell list, and now you have to go by school of magic every time you want to pick a new spell, which I get that we're trying to unify things and make it more simple, but boy howdy, I wish I just had a list of bard spells.
Yeah, please go back to the episode where I explained how much I hate the schools of magic by how much they confuse me. Because I get it. It's a classification for a spell, and it works in a lot of contexts.
But so the other thing about bards, at first level, that's all they get, is they can choose their spells from the arcane spell list, blah, blah, blah. At second level, they get their songs of restoration, which, from that level on, at certain intervals, they'll get healing type spells that aren't on the arcane spell list. And I believe, let's see, you always have the spell prepared, and it doesn't count against the number of spells you can prepare. So even more spells. But there's no cure wounds. So bards now only have healing word, lesser restoration, mass healing word, freedom of movement, and greater restoration. Additionally, and we'll come back to this in a second, their bardic inspiration also provides some healing. But I do think it's interesting that the bard is no longer really at all. Can you consider the bard to be like a healing class? Their greatest healing spells are healing word.
Yeah.
So it's a D4 plus their mod on a bonus action. Really, the use for this spell is getting your friends up after they've been dropped, which I think makes sense for the bard because they're not casting holy magic. Their magic isn't coming from anything in particular, and I guess it sort of makes sense that cure wounds wouldn't necessarily be like a knack that bards have picked up. So in any case, it's interesting that now your decision is made for you, because every time you choose a class that has healing word and cure wounds, you think, do I really need both of these?
I think for the bard especially, it makes more sense. For me, this is one change that I'm like a little lukewarm about, because, I do see the bard as like, okay, they can have cure wounds, but in the way you were saying, they don't have divine or like primal magic as part of them. The bard having healing word to me is almost, instead of like, magic coming down and enveloping the character, is more like them being like, come on, get back up. Like reinvigorating in their psyche, like, no, we still have something to do. And, talking to them and getting them to get back, like inspiring them to get back up like they would with bardic inspiration. So thematically, I feel like it's a good change. It does make me sad because I love the bard and I want them to be all powerful. Just like I want every class to be all powerful, but it makes gameplay and flavor sense to me, where I'm like, okay, well, I get it.
Yeah, you get it. And so, sorry, Drew, I don't mean to interrupt you. Were you going to say something before I move on?
I just want to toss my 2 cents in really quick, because when Tasha's came out, they had one of those variant trait features that you could possibly sort of maybe take if you really wanted to, but if the DM said yes right at the beginning of the classes, where for bards, you could actually give someone your bardic inspiration, and they could use it to deal more damage or to heal more. So jumping into, in just a moment, with how this bardic inspiration will work with this new UA, I wonder if they're still going to take that into account, because it's not necessarily the most optimal way to use your bardic inspiration by any means, but it does give you that little bit of damage boost and healing as well, which I think makes a big difference, especially if you have a ton of healers, or an artificer that can use their jolt to start healing people, or a mercy monk that can give a little the mercy healing hand. Having that little boost of healing does help quite a bit, and it might make up for them not having cure wounds. And also, I think, are they the only class at this point not to have Cure Wounds and Healing Word? I think every healing class has both of them.
Paladins
right?
and Artificers don't.
No healing word?
And Rangers don't. And
Really?
And I think Druids also don't. So Cleric and Bard were the only ones that had both.
Oh, I'm totally wrong. I recede. I completely recede. But I think
Leave
they
the
still
podcast. You don't know anything.
Your Cleric is showing. We'll just say that.
I know. I have cleric privilege is what it is. I just assume everyone can heal a whole bunch.
Uh-huh.
All right, let's move on.
Yeah, so we won't go through one by one on all the changes. In general, I think the Bard, besides the stuff we talked about, is more or less the same in a lot of ways. So they get their Bardic Inspiration is the biggest change, and so that is a reaction now rather than a bonus action. And you use this when you see or another creature within 60 feet of you that you can see or hear fails a D20 test. You can use your reaction to add your Bardic Inspiration die to that one check. I like the element of choice. I like the element of knowing. So you see someone fail, you say, okay, I'm going to use my inspiration on this specifically. And then additionally, you can do the same thing immediately after another creature within 60 feet of you takes damage. You can use your reaction and heal them for that amount, which is also cool. My one, and really I'm just gripping on to the Bard from the Player's Handbook. Bardic Inspiration is not my favorite feature from the Player's Handbook, so I can see the need to give it some more oomph, and using it as a reaction like this definitely feels better, as we've seen with Flash of Genius from the Artificer, using a reaction to add it to a check and seeing it succeed instead, right before the DM was going to say, oh, you suck. That's awesome. It's nice to help your friends like that. But I will miss the idea of the Bard, going around and giving everyone a pep talk before the fight, and here's your inspiration. Do with it as you please. That I am gonna miss that element of it.
I agree with you completely. The whole concept of the spell preparation we talked about. Overall, the Bard has been buffed, right? There's no doubt about it. I think he's stronger than he was before. He has more options, right? But they hit him where it mattered, right in his Bardic Inspirations. His two little Bardic Inspirations, I feel like they kicked him right at. It hurts to see. He can use his reaction, which is great. I might even go so far as to say that he may be the only class that can heal as a reaction, possibly, or one of the few. But
You got to stop making just
I'm
like,
throwing it out there.
statements like that. Where
Challenge
it's like,
me, boys.
I don't know this, but
I feel like there's definitely something, or if not, all
Maybe an
they're
ability.
really doing is lowering the damage that person took, or if they drop to 0, getting them back up.
yeah.
But regardless, having it in his reaction is definitely buff. But the idea that they took the bonus action, it bugs me. I love the feel of that pre warm up before the game. Like, yeah, we got this, boys. We could do it. It takes away the flavor.
The thing is, they already had other things that could do that, like doing the inspiring leader stuff and all of that. Already has other things that are kind of like that, where
Yeah.
the Bardic Inspiration was always used. Like anytime I saw Bardic Inspiration used, it was always in that way. Like, hey, this person is running over to that guy, and they're gonna hit him next turn. They're using it as like a way that would have been more useful as a reaction, anyways, because it's not taking up the bonus action. Because what's a Bard good for? You can multi-class a lot with the Bard into like a fighter or a rogue or something like that. If you multi-class in a rogue, you've got cunning action. You go into fighter, you got like all your bonus action stuff like second wind and everything like that.
Or if you don't multi-class, you've got your healing word open and ready.
Or your healing word. I feel like you're getting so many more options open than when you're taking up that bonus action with Bardic Inspiration. And what happens a lot of times with Bardic Inspiration when you do it before, like when you pregame with it, 10 minutes passes and it goes away. Or you pregame with it like right before you go into the encounter and you forget you have it and you don't use it. In this way, it's getting used. You know for a fact it's getting used and that it was put to good use.
Yeah, so in general, I do like this more than the Player's Handbook. I'm just going to miss the old version.
Yeah. I totally
this
get
is
where you
what
guys
they
are
use.
coming from, but I feel like this is more bang for your buck.
For sure. The other changes to the Bard, just so we can finally move on. We'll notice that at 4th level and all the levels that you typically receive an ability score improvement, it's now specified that you get a feat. This is true for all classes. and the ability score improvement is now a feat. So if you want a +2 to something in particular, you can do that. So that's still the way it was in the player's handbook. We're just removing the option for your DM to say no feats. Now feats are mandatory.
I'll jump in just for a moment here because I feel like this is a big deal. This is a core rework of how D&D is working here as far as level progression goes. When you're explaining to new players that they can either get an ASI or a feat, they're like, "What's that?" It's either these two numbers or one of these 3 pages of things, right? It's too complicated. The idea now that they're all feats is so much simpler to explain. To say, "Hey, you get a feat. These are your options, period." It's so much easier. I love it. As someone who plays with a lot of new players, one of my favorite bits.
I love it too. And feats were an optional rule before in the player's handbook. They're real now. They exist for all characters. You get feat every so often. Boom, here's the feat. You're done.
Which is kind of funny because realistically, this is just kind of a reword for the most part. They really didn't change too much in that regard.
Thing. It's
but
just, yeah.
I love that they reworded it that way. But
yeah.
That's my 2 cents. Zach, you may proceed with the bard.
Yeah, so just a couple things to call out. At 5th level is now when the bard gets Jack of all trades. They used to get that at 2nd level. Now they get their healing spells at 2nd level. And notably, Counter Charm, which they got at 6th level, is nowhere to be found. So Counter Charm was already a shitty ability. No one
never
used
seen
it.
anybody use it.
I believe it's a full action to give your friends advantage versus Frighten and Charm. So not super great.
And you have to keep it going, don't you?
Let's see. 6th level, you gain the ability, musical notes, blah, blah, blah. As an action, you start a performance that lasts until the end of your next turn. During that time, any friendly creature within 30 feet of you have advantage on saving throws against being frightened.
Either way,
and charmed.
it's just a waste of a turn.
Yeah, it is a waste
no
of a
one's
turn.
no one's gonna do that.
So that's gone.
Someone
see.
gets charmed just to spell magic it.
Or make your save, idiot.
Yeah, don't be bad.
Just roll higher.
And then the bard doesn't get their magical secrets until 11th level. It used to be at 10th. And then additionally, I'm going to call this out now, the College of Lore doesn't get any additional magic secrets either. So so that's strange as well. But at 15th level, all bards now get further magic secrets. And again, it works the same way. You can choose from any spell list, whatever spell you want.
I believe as well, a future change for all classes is that they get their capstone ability at 18th level as opposed to 20th level, and leaving room for 20th level to be an epic boon that you choose. We can talk about epic boons later, but all characters will get their capstone abilities at 18th. I don't know what happens at 19th necessarily, depending on whatever you choose for the future and how they rework it.
Your Dynamax.
And then 20th level is for epic boons.
Yeah, 19th level is still for the ASI/feat. So,
Okay.
and that seems to be the same. So, but like you said, 18th level bards get their capstone ability. It's been buffed slightly because it was the worst one before. When you roll initiative, if you have no uses of your bardic inspiration, you get 1 use back. It was the player's handbook version. This version, you get 2 uses back. So, very slightly buffed. Still a terrible feature. I wish it was anything else.
How do you guys feel about the 18th level change?
So I like it. I think it gives players more of a chance to get that capstone, all-powerful ability that otherwise you may not have gotten, right? To which case they end up replacing that with epic boons, which we'll get to in a minute. But it gives you more chance to get something cool. It moves it up the list, right? And it makes things just a little more realistic if you are playing in a long-term campaign that maybe the DM will run things a little longer for you. I don't know. I dig it a lot. I'm excited. I don't know if it makes a massive difference just because people still aren't going to make it that far all the time. But it's nice that you can dream a little more realistically, I guess.
Yeah, and I do like the multi-classing element of it. So as we'll get into when we talk about the feats, I don't much care for the epic boons that they've presented. And so those last 2 levels being dedicated to, okay, I can get my capstone ability, and I can also take those 2 levels of fighter that I've just been dying for so I can action surge. That's there for you too. So in general, no complaints with it yet. I I don't think, like you said, no one's getting to 18th or 20th level anyway. Moving it up just a little bit so that you can have more fun with it is not a problem to me.
Personally, I just like the potential that, okay, maybe when I do get my capstone ability, I get to use it for 2 levels. Reaching 20th
and
level
not just
now,
the final.
Yeah,
fight
exactly.
Or,
20th level. Well, I'm just going to get to use it in the final fight. Now, potentially, I get the chance to have it for for a good chunk of time.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so that's definitely fun. College of Lore has been murdered and spat upon. I don't like it very much anymore. The whole special thing about it before was there additional magical secrets at 6th level. Now the whole focus of the class is they take cutting words, which before lets you take your bardic inspiration, remove it from someone else. It's more or less the same here. It's still a reaction. Let's see. Before, was it a reaction?
Which one?
Yes, it was a reaction before. So it's the same thing. But now you get your cunning inspiration. Through your studies in cunning, you're at 6th level. You've learned to inspire others exceptionally well. When a creature rolls your bardic inspiration, they can roll the die twice and use the better of the 2 rolls. That's cool. Mm-hmm. At 10th level, they get improved cutting words. Whenever you use your cutting words feature, you can deal psychic damage to that creature equal to the number rolled. Okay, that's neat. And bards subclasses didn't get anything at 10th level before, so that's a flat buff. So it's fine. And then Peerless Skill is the same as it was before. When you make an ability check and fail, you can expend 1 use of your bardic inspiration to roll and add the number to the ability check, potentially turning it into a success. Odd that bards can't do that for themselves at level 1 with this new bardic inspiration feature, but I guess we'll save it for 14th. And you have to go College of Lore. In general, just not very powerful at all compared to the other subclasses we've seen recently for the bard.
Yeah, it's fine. Bards, at least the bard they presented so far, hasn't thrilled me. I think it's cool and all. But realistically, the only thing you need to know about the UA as far as bards go is that they changed their bardic inspiration and their spell preparation is different. As long as you know those 2 things, I mean, you have the grasp on it. A similar, and I'll even jump in. I'll be the first one to jump into rogues here just for a moment if everyone's ready to move on there. Rogues, there's not